how does CX drive growth? And we've got some very interesting panelists with us. We've got brands like Indigo, we've got Bajaj Life Insurance, and we've got Bangalore Airport. So what I'm going to get you guys to do is introduce yourselves, tell us what you feel about this topic and how, as brands, you achieve it. Yeah, do you want to go first?
Guys, my name is Nitin Sethi. I head digital transformation for Indigo Airlines. I joined Indigo 7 quarters back. Indigo aviation is quarter by quarter business. I think in my opinion, CX is purely based on the consistent experience. It's that experience which you can maintain every single time, and it's very challenging because they are partners like Bangalore Airport. Because if you want to fly, you are going to, fly from that airport, and of course there are partners like Yellow Messenger, which we actually work with on to enable the self-service for our chatbot. And these things are not very consistent. There are a lot of challenges. So in terms of maintaining a good consistent experience, you actually need to continuously working on your processes, people, and it's a iterative model and revolves around customer empathy. So for me, customer empathy and consistency are two very important elements.
Dominic?
Hello everyone, my name is Dominic Devasia. I work with Bangalore International Airport. I head the non-aero business for BIL. Prior to that, I've a long stint in the apparel industry, the fashion apparel industry. So CX, as my colleague mentioned here, airports now are no longer a point of transit. We want to position them, and we are well en route to positioning it as a point of experience. You need to get that feel-good factor on the ground as much as you do 30,000 feet up in the air. The top things that come to my mind, CX that leads to growth, are fundamentally just three factors. A, terminal capacity, terminal size, how big a terminal you have to cater to the volumes that you have. Let's say what's the space density. If you need about 1,300 square meter per million departing passengers, you have that size. Well, with Terminal 2 coming in Bangalore, we sort of have handled that bit. The second large component is processing capacity. Yeah, you have queues. How quick can you move through your queues? If you are, let's say, digitally savvy, can you use a self-baggage drop? Again, big strides that Bangalore International Airport has taken in that. I think we're the only airport in the country that has enabled your face is your boarding pass. Currently, if you were to fly Air Vistara, you could register yourself and you need not go to your traditional check-in counter. The third largest piece is the commercial offering, the retail, the food, the dining, the entertainment, the ground transportation, the ease through which you can transact to all these multiple touch points. I think these are three large pieces that impact customer experience and is a growth enabler.
Sounds good. It's really interesting that you talk about self-serve in terms of baggage check-in. In Australia, we've got a lot of self-serve in terms of supermarkets as well. And deep inside me, I feel so sad because I think these poor people are going to lose their jobs and they're getting replaced by machines. But thanks very much for that. So, what about yourself?
Hi again. So I take care of the branches for Bajaj Allianz Life. So we have about roughly 600 odd branches across the country. So I take care of the operations which happens over there. And continuing what I was saying before we broke for lunch is that CX to me is anything which makes the life of the customer easier and stress-free. And it is also the emotions which he goes through whenever he thinks about me as a brand. Does it stress him out? Does it make him angry, nervous, or does it make him happy and relaxed, saying that I don't have a problem with that? So to me, whatever we do to make that happen to the customer is what we can call CX.
Cool. Sounds good. So just some follow-up questions. These brands are very interesting. Everyone at some stage has kind of flown, basically Indigo has passed through Bangalore airport, and your category is very interesting as well because it's high involvement, a lot of emotion in it. Right, okay, so just a couple of follow-up questions. So basically, Nitin, when you think about Indigo, as you say, you operate quarter to quarter. Your last quarter results were good, which is great to see. But you operate in a segment, and your brand proposition is very much about a no frills kind of solution. You are the market leader, but there has to be some tension between being no frills and then keeping an eye on your costs, and then juggling this whole issue of customer experience. So it's like juggling three balls in the air. So and then of course you've got competitive pressures as well. So you've got four balls in the air. How do you actually manage all this to achieve good strategic outcomes?
Sure. It's a very tricky question. I'll try and answer it simply. So on the fundamental level, the brand promise, on time, hassle-free, affordable fares.
Right.
That has to be consistent, that has to be maintained.
Yeah.
Then, of course, on the pricing, but consumers are not only buying product and services anymore, they are actually buying experience, right? So that has changed.
Yeah.
You also need to see that what type of persona in the market segments you have.
Yeah.
We have people, 25-30% people coming from tier 2, tier 3 markets.
Yes.
We've grown 25% internationally last year. We've added actually one plane every week last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very challenging. So you're not only competing in India, and you are exposed to now 8 international markets.
Yeah.
That has changed. So starting from ideating and innovating on voice to multilingual, that comes very natural. So you can't only play on your network. Networks became the fourth pillar.
Yeah.
Right, which continue to be in cash on over competition, because your competition can't present everywhere and you have an edge. Then exceeding customer expectation, that's ball is very tricky, because as Indians and even Southeast Asia market, we want everything for free. But companies who provide a lot of things for free don't last long. So profitability is very, very important, because you need to have that proposition where you add a value and make money. So whether you're a small business or big, so a big opportunity on the ancillary. A customer who's only bought a ticket and a customer who bought a ticket with a meal and a seat, he will definitely have a better experience.
Yeah.
Right. So when we have that mindset, so every key project or a key initiative which we do have two basic KPIs. One is a business side of KPI, and second is the customer experience side of the KPI, right? And you continually need to invest on your processes, people, partners, and innovate. And also it's very important that you know what not to do. So there are players who are offering in-flight entertainment, but we, with a lot of study and the data, knows that you actually have Amazon Prime and Netflix, and you carry your own content. You are not interested in watching that 10-year-old movie, right? And only 10% people watch that entertainment system in the short format of flights, which we generally operate, right? So keeping those fundamentals, you actually don't need to do everything. You need to do things which impacts the maximum customer base. And so not everybody is our customer, so we try and cater to 80% market. So every second flight is ours, every second customer fly on us. So for us, retention is more important than acquiring new customers.
Right, absolutely, because the kind of market share is really high. So the bit that I really liked about your answer is how you keep a customer metric and a business metric together to try and balance that equation a bit. And focus is very, very important. So we always tell people, customers may want 20 different things, but you don't have to do all 20 things. And we talk about focus, and focus means, when you focus on something, it means you sacrifice something else. Focus is not about doing everything, it's about sacrificing certain things. But when you focus on some things and you do it really well, you get a halo effect where everything else gets higher ratings as well. So coming to Dominic, so I must admit, Bangalore is one of my favorite airports. But we did a journey mapping exercise for a travel experience, and we literally charted like 40 different points. From the time you enter the airport, to checking in, to the lounge, to this, to that, and going into the plane. So how do you manage such a complex customer experience journey and make sure you measure the right things, know what's working, know what's not working, so that you can take some strategic corrective action? How do you actually do it? Because it is one of the most complex and multi-step experiences.
That's a great question, and I'll just pick up a cue from what Nitin said. So we were discussing the entire no frills sort of airline, and somehow then to give that frill and to get that the jolly feeling going, that falls on the airport, and then that sort of makes us push the boundaries. So if you look at the airport, and I spoke about processing fee, and there's enough of content out there, so I will not repeat. But if you look at our customer offering, more and more customers are traveling with one or more device of personal use, like a smartphone, a tab. Typically, their behavior is similar like what they were to be in a cab, and the same behavior carries to the airport, where they're so connected to their phone, so the behavior stays the same. So how then do you make yourself relevant? Do you have a retail offering? Studies globally have shown that 50% of what a guy spends in an airport, he already makes up his mind before he even gets closer to the airport. So then, do you have an omni-channel presence? Are you able to give enough of information to the consumer that he decides, hey, I'm traveling international, this is what I'll do with duty free. Can I buy now and collect it later? So on my arrival, I don't need to waste time. I just go to a center. Well, we have a product developed called Faster by BLR. Currently, it's gone live, where you have retail. F&B, food and beverage is a big part of our customer experience. Typically, today the consumer is saying, if I have gate number, argument sake 20, I sit in front of my gate, why should I walk all the way to a restaurant? Why don't I have the freedom that I can order at my gate and then somebody delivers to me? We are 20-25 days in, and we have launched this product on our omni-channel platform, and the results are amazing. Also because if both of us were, let's say, to travel together, and he wants a pizza and I want to eat from KFC, and one of us has to compromise if you're going to each other's restaurant. But at our gate, this app gives me the freedom to pick up. Yeah, good. It's got a multi-restaurant capability. Again, average bill values, ticket sizes are larger there. So the entire ease of omni-channel, hyper localization, if I were to say, we are an airport in the south of India. We are an airport in India. If you enter, typically airport retail looks the same across the globe. You have your brands, you have your Samsonites, your Chanel's, your Ray-Bans. How can we be different? Can we drive this concept of a sense of place? For example, if you walk through our restaurants, walk through our airport, you're hit with the sense of place. You have South Indian restaurants facing you right after you get in. You have, let's say, an art and artifact store, which typically keeps a lot of items that are GI tagged from this part of the country. Things like that. Last but not the least, ground transportation. That's the first entry into an airport, first touch point of an airport, and the last touch point of an airport. How good is that service? Just a case in point, Uber, working successfully in many airports globally. But we've developed a product with them wherein all you need to do is to just book a cab, walk out of the Bangalore International Airport, and you can just board a cab. Yeah. It's not like any other place in the globe. And of course, they've done it for us and they're rolling it out globally. Yeah. So can we make that experience as seamless as we can? Again, another example of customer experience. You go to an airport primarily to travel, and if you didn't want to travel, or you didn't want to drop off somebody, you didn't have a reason to go to the airport. Right. Today we have this huge retail, entertainment and dining area outside the airport, which we call the quad.
Yes.
That's basically to get city side traffic down. You'll be surprised that our December 31st day sales in the quad for F&B were higher than a couple of chains of 5-star restaurants in the city.
Wow.
So that's primarily because city side wants to come there. It's a good drive in the night.
Yes.
It's open 24/7. There are concerts happening all the time.
Yeah.
Arrival. If you arrive in an airport, our airports typically don't care too much about arrival passengers. You just arrive, book a cab and go. Here there's this entire area waiting for you to, elevate your experience at the place. So there are multiple touch points. Again, it comes back to what do you mark as your priority? What do you mark as medium term? What's your playground? Where do you want to play and where do you want to win?
Yeah.
So that sort of defines our CX across the multiple touch points. And believe me, we haven't even covered 1/3 of where we'd like to be, but
It is a continuous journey.
It is a continuous journey.
Look, I have to say, the road that goes to the airport, the highway that goes to the airport is great. And when you come from overseas, it gives you a false sense of security. And you think, wow, the traffic is really good. And then you enter actual Bangalore. And then you're stuck forever. So, in terms of life insurance, again, you have a complex arrangement. You've got intermediaries that you have to deal with, like banks and agents and so on and so forth. You've got other brands coming up. You've got aggregators. What do you put in place to come up with experiences that will drive growth at your brand level?
Okay, before that, I'll tell you something which has changed in the industry of insurance, which is that earlier insurance was thought of a mortality product or a death product. People used to do insurance so that their families are risk covered when they are no longer there. Slowly, what has changed now is from that, it has become like a living benefits product. So I do insurance as a alternate investment medium. So my requirements of insurance have suddenly changed. Earlier, all I was bothered about was that I pay the premium and unfortunately if something happens to me, my family is getting it. So, I knew that if I'm paying 1 lakh rupee of premium and my family will get maybe 15 lakh rupees if I'm not there. That's all, and it was very clean over there. Now when this insurance started coming in as an investment product, I became aware of a lot of things. I started comparing insurance with a mutual fund. I started comparing insurance with an FD. I started comparing with the rate of returns these guys are giving. How easy is for me to handle an insurance company vis-a-vis a mutual funds company. So all that is where the customer experience and the ease of servicing came into the picture. So now whatever we are doing, we are keeping in mind these two sets of customers. One is a customer who is looking at it purely as an insurance product. His requirement is not that we disturb him every day or do anything. He is just someone, give me a very good onboarding experience, give me the assurance that your claims is good, your claims process is good, which is there, and he is happy. The customer, which is you're looking at it as a ULIP product for insurance product, he is very much interested as to how are you doing, what are you doing with my money, where are you investing, what is my return going to happen, what is the historical return which is there. So for him, the customer experience involves not only the how I onboard him, but also how I keep on feeding him information about my products, information about the his investment, how good it is doing, and giving him the control of changing funds, which is there, because he is always comparing me with a mutual fund. That it is easy to switch funds over there. Is it easy over there? Can I do it at the over an app? So for them, the CX is primarily, can I make him self-sufficient? Okay, so I have to always keep in mind not necessarily which channel he is coming in from, but why is he coming into me. So that actually decides my CX strategy for the customer.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll share something interesting to the audience in terms of the insurance category, because we did a major benchmarking exercise there. So there's no doubt that claims experience is critical. At the point when you're making a claim, it's very emotive. If you get that wrong, you're stuck, basically, right? Features and facilities are important, but they're so complicated that most people can't understand what they mean and how to compare. But what we found, the two things that came up the strongest, which we were really surprised with, one is a brand in this category having a very clear value proposition, very clear reason why you should buy from them. And the second one was an even bigger surprise, is that I know that if I'm in trouble, the staff at this brand will go above and beyond to look after me, right? Which I thought was very, very interesting. Now, look, we've got some really cool brands here, and I'm very fortunate to be on this panel, and I don't want to hog all the questions. So, and I'm sure with brands like Bangalore Airport, Indigo, Bajaj, you people are burning to ask questions, right? So I'm going to open up to the floor, and we'll take maybe 3 questions in total. So who has a question?
See, I like the statement which Mr. Nitin said, you don't have to do all the things. Pick up 1 or 2 things, focus on that and excel in that, it will give you your better CX. I know this is a little different, but I'm sure you have been a patient, you have had some contacts with the medical profession. As a seasoned guy, just tell me how we pharmaceutical marketeers can take a leaf from what you do in Indigo. I'm asking you to extrapolate it. It's difficult to empathize, but please do it.
So, sir, what I've learned, especially with Indigo in last 2 years, is that you have to think global but act local, right? Even for pharma, it's because of the culture, because of the regulation. You just like us, you are highly regulated market, right? So you may have a great medicine